Welcome back to Diablo Immortal. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 4 different builds for the Crusader class, making this a masterclass build guide video for all of you looking to play as the Crusader. I'll be sharing with you a support build, a farming and dungeon build, a PvP build, and a second PvP build that I've been using for the last few months as I've played as this class. These have all been proven tried and true and are definitely ones that you can jump right into and be successful playing as a Crusader. So first, let's start with the support build. A build where if you are under-leveled or if you don't have as high of resonance as some of your teammates, you can still be a benefit to the party by offering banner and bubble, protecting them and having your teammates do more damage in battle. Here is a very brief look at the equipment and at your set items, which I'll go more in depth in right now. The skills used for this build are Draw and Quarter, Condemn, Holy Banner, and Conjuration of Light, and I go with Sacred Fire as the primary attack. It's also worth noting that as a Crusader, you're going to want to focus on your yellow or your citrine gems. These ones are going to be more beneficial to you than anything blue that is typically beneficial for other classes. So start buying those citrines. So starting with our set items, we're wearing a 2-piece Feasting Barons pack, a 2-piece Vithu, a 2-piece Agmets, and a 2-piece Restitution in Blood. It's worth noting that these set items are the same across every single build I'm going to share with you today. But since this is the first one in the video, let's go through what each of these set items do. Right here, we have Vithu's Urge. It increases the duration of all of your beneficial effects on you and your party members, which is essentially going to make you do more damage, have more time for skills and things like that. You're going to have your Agmets. The duration of your additional Ignite status is increased, so burn things for longer. The newest set item is the Restitution in Blood. Dealing damage to an enemy applies Fated Prey to them for 2.5 seconds, increasing the damage that you deal to them by 35%. It can't be applied for more than 4 enemies at once. And then the final that we're wearing is the Feasting Barons pack. Increases the duration of harmful effects by 30%. I will not be reading through each of these set items again for every single build because, as I mentioned, they are the same across all 4. Next, I'm going to go through each of the essences on the primary pieces of gear, starting with the essence. Standard of Flames. Holy Banner now mounts a Standard of Flames to your back that bolsters the primary attacks of all nearby allies to burn enemies. Holy Banner is a big part of what you're going to be utilizing to support your team. When we come to our chest plate, we have the Heart of Grandeur. And this one, Lightning in a Bottle. Condemn now conjures a condensed lightning storm that follows you randomly, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Right? Notice all of my gear across all of my builds are purple as well, which means they have been awakened pieces of gear, giving me some extra stats. Wind Blessed Pauldrons. Here we have Conjuration of Light. Duration increased by 39%. Very nice. We have our pants right here. Coice of Scorn. Condemn deals 19% increased damage for each harmful effect that enemy suffers from up to a maximum of 76%. Then we have 2 weapons on each, the primary and the secondary. The Bristle is our first. Sacred Fire now also hurls waves of flame, dealing 6,000 damage to enemies in their path. And then the second we have is Horn Splitter, second primary that is. And here, Sacred Fire now ignites enemies, burning them for 13,400 damage over 2 seconds. Following that, we have, because we're in stance here, we have double of both. We have our secondary piece of gear, our weapon, Loretta's Banner. Holy Banner also increases your and your allies' damage by 6.4% for each ally within the banner, up to a maximum of 25.6%. And Doom Parade is last. Doom Parade condemns critical hit chances increased by 19%. Now, the legendary gems across all of my builds are also the same. These do not have to be exactly the same for the build, but I figured I may as well share with you what I'm wearing. I won't share my legendary gems again throughout all of the builds because, as I mentioned, they are the same. I will tell you 2 alternates that you can use in place of some of the gems that I'm currently using. I use a Roiling Consequence, the Blood-Soaked Jade, Blood Flow gem, the new Faded Trail gem, a Bottled Hope, a Colossus Engine, a Seeping Bile, and a Gloom Cask. If you're asking me which are the two weakest gems out of all of these 5 stars, I would say the Gloom Cask and the Seeping Bile. I'm just utilizing them because I have them leveled and I actually like what they do, but many others would replace them with another gem. Now, one of the gems that can replace anything from the build that I shared is a Misery Elixir, which is a 1-star gem and definitely does increase damage. The other is a Pain Clasp gem. You can't go wrong throwing in a Pain Clasp. It's also going to increase the damage that you do. So essentially how this build works is very simple. You're going to run into battle with your team. You can jump on the horse if you have to keep up with them. You could drop a little damage right here, and then you are going to banner and bubble. So you're going to be offering more damage for your teammates and protection for a few seconds, making you probably one of the better support classes in the game with this build. But now let's take a look at my farming and dungeon build. Also, this is one that I'll sometimes utilize for big bosses such as Heliquary and things like that. Giving you a bird's eye view right here, this is all the legendary equipment, and again, as I mentioned, the set items are the same. I forgot to mention in the previous build, I'm using Survivor, and these are the specialization skills that we're utilizing for it. Indestructible, Unyielding, Stalwart, Regeneration, Always Be Prepared, and I go with the legendary Paragon skill, Benefactor. Sorry that I forgot to give you that one a moment ago. Now back to our farming and dungeon build, you'll notice that I am using the Slinger Paragon tree with Unseen Dynamism, Uncanny, Bloodthirst, Fury, Superiority, and Death's Release as the legendary Paragon skill. Now let's get into the essences used for this farming and dungeon build, starting off with our Shield Glare. Now burns enemies for 11.5 thousand damage over 4 seconds, and the damage is increased by 90%. All right, let me show you the skills really quickly as well. As you would have expected, we are utilizing Shield Glare. We're going with Judgment, Condemn, and Draw and Quarter, and I'm still using Sacred Fire with this build as my primary attack. We've already done the helmet. Let's move over to the chest, the Heart of Grandeur. Now, some of these do overlap, okay? Lightning in a Bottle. Condemn now conjures a condensed lightning storm that follows you, randomly dealing damage to nearby enemies, and the damage is increased by 18%. Keep in mind, this build is to just basically be able to spam all of your skills, jump on your horse, utilize primary attack, and melt everything in the open world as you run through it as quickly as possible. We're wearing the Yawning Rose on our shoulders, and this is Trial by Fire. Judgment now calls bolts of fire to fall continuously in an area around you, burning random nearby enemies, and the damage is increased by 18%. Coming over to Galloping Brilliance, Draw and Quarter now calls a Horse of Light, causing those that stand in its aura to take damage, and the duration is increased by 18%. Now to our normal primary pieces of gear. The Bristle is the first. Sacred Fire now hurls waves of flame, dealing 6,000 damage to enemies in their path. And again, we're using Horn Splitter, just like we were in the previous build. Sacred Fire ignites enemies, burning them for 13,500 damage over 2 seconds. Moving on over to the secondary pieces of weapons, we have Torrential Refrain. Condemn immediately triggers all continual damage on the target it hits, causing them to take the remaining damage instantly. And finally, Lofty Light is the final secondary piece of gear. Glare of Justice. Shield Glare now surrounds you with an area of radiant brilliance for several seconds, during which enemies within automatically attacked and blinded, and the damage is increased by 18%. Now, if you'll notice, all you do with this build is you pop your skills, hop on your horse, and run around, and everything around you dies. And it's a pretty simple build, tons of damage that's done very quickly. You have as much uptime as you can with your horse. You're going to be working on your beneficial effect duration to get the highest uptime possible. And whenever your skills are off cooldown, you just pop them, run yourself around, and literally everything dies in your path. The farming and dungeon build is actually my favorite build that I currently used most on the Crusader. Next, we're going to take a look at the first PvP build that's called PvP Snake, because it was shared to me by Snake the Vile, someone that I had come on the channel and give us an in-depth guide and overview of how the familiar and pet system works inside of the game. This is one of the builds that I'm using for the least amount of time. It's one of the newest ones that I'm using, and it currently uses the Gladiator Paragon tree with the specialization skills Cheat Death, Quick-Witted, Trapper, Uncontrollable, Rapid Recovery, with a legendary Paragon skill of Curse of Weakness. Now, to give you an overhead view of what everything looks like, your bird's eye view, these are all of the legendary pieces of gear that you're wearing, and these are the set items just like they were on the other classes. Or I should say, on the other builds. The skills used here are Shield Charge, Condemn, Judgment, and Conjuration of Light. And this is the first time that we're utilizing Punish as the primary attack. Now, taking a look at the legendary gear, starting off with the helm, we have Shield Charge also grants you 19% increased damage for 3 seconds. We have the Heart of Grandeur, Lightning in a Bottle. Condemn now conjures a condensed lightning storm that follows you randomly, dealing damage to nearby enemies. We have the Yawning Rose. We've seen some of these already before. Judgment now calls bolts of fire to fall continuously in the area around you, burning random nearby enemies. We have Journey of the Faithful Pants. Sentinel Charge. Shield Charge now charges to a targeted location, damaging and knocking up enemies along your path and granting you a damage reduction. If allies are along your path, both you and your allies are granted increased damage reduction. I'm assuming that you can tell how this is going to work in PvP. You're going to charge into a location, pop all of your skills, protect yourself, do more damage, and take less damage at that time. This also knocks back enemies again along the path. Your primary piece of gear, the first one, is Soul Purge. Punish also shatters enemy armor, increasing the damage they take by 7.6% for 1.5 seconds. You have Wretched Splitter. Punishment also applies a wanted mark for 3 seconds, increasing the movement speed of you and allies by 28% while moving toward an enemy with a wanted mark. The secondary pieces of gear, Torrential Refrain. Condemn immediately triggers all continual damage on its targets it hits, causing them to take the remaining damage instantly. You see that across many of the builds that we use for the Crusader. And Vilification Protocol. Condemn also reduces the enemy movement speed by 40% for 3 seconds, and the cooldown is reduced by 3.6 seconds. Now, assuming we're in a PvP battle, you're going to basically either pop your skills and then dash in and then shield, or you're going to dash in, pop your skills, and then shield. So I go like this, pop, pop, we dash in, and then we shield up and hit primary attack right on top of the target. When we need to escape, we dash ourselves out of there and get out of harm's way. This is the favorite PvP build that I'm currently using for the Crusader. The final build I want to share with you is my PvP 2 build, which is actually the one that I've been utilizing the most as a Crusader, and it also is utilizing the Gladiator Paragon tree. Taking a deeper look, we use Cheat Death, Quick-Witted, Trapper, Uncontrollable, Rapid Recovery, and Curse of the Weakness. And for the bird's eye view of the legendary essences, and again, the same stuff we're looking at here for our set items, our green pieces. The skills we're using here are Condemn, Judgment, Shield Glare, and Conjuration of Light with a primary attack of Sacred Fire. Now, I will mention that this build does not have a dash or really speed skill to get you in and out of battle. So you have to be very smart when you do go into battle so that you have yourself an escape route. So after you're protected and after your damage is done, you don't just get killed. Starting off with our helm, we have Shield Glare now burns enemies for 11,500 damage for 4 seconds. And it's increased by 90%. We're going with the Heart of Grandeur yet again. This one, Condemn now conjures a lightning storm that follows you. We have the Yawning Rose yet again, and this one here, Judgment now calls down bolts of fire to fall continuously in the area around you. Blessed Offense. All right, this one here is, I believe, a different one. Shield Glare also grants you a shield for 1.5 seconds that absorbs 8,000 damage of each enemy hit, up to a maximum of 24,000 damage. When it disappears, it deals damage based on its absorbed value. We have Horn Splitter. This is for our primary attack. Sacred Fire, now igniting enemies, burning them for 13,400 damage over 2 seconds. And the Bristle. Sacred Fire now also hurls waves of flame, dealing 6,000 damage to enemies in their path, giving you a little bit of range attack with your Crusader. Then we have Torrential Refrain. Condemn immediately triggers all continual damage. And we have Lofty Light. Shield Glare now surrounds you within an area of radiant justice for several seconds, during which enemies within are automatically attacked and blinded. So the way that I typically utilize this build in PvP is when I'm going for pillars or when I'm going for an area where there's a bunch of enemies, I try to come from behind. Because we don't have any type of a skill that is really for speed, although we do get some speed as we do pop our skills, I'm going to come in from behind, pop all 3 skills, and then bubble up on top, get my attacks in, and then try to get out of there as quickly as I can. Keep in mind, there are no dash skills and there's no true mobility skill with this build, so you may at times find yourself stuck. But this is a great build for just diving into battle, spamming your skills right on top of a pile of enemies, and a lot of the time you'll take down multiple enemies from all the damage that you're dropping. Just make sure that you have Conjuration of Light up and ready when you're going into battle against multiple enemies. If you're going against one person, this can be on cooldown. It's a little risky, but you could probably win that battle. But if you're going against multiple enemies, make sure that Conjuration of Light is ready to be popped so you can give yourself that immunity. Those are all of the details. 4 different builds for you looking to be a Crusader inside of Diablo Immortal. With all of these builds I shared here today, you can literally do everything that you need to do inside of the game. And as I've tested all of them out over time, these are great examples for you to see a ton of success. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe for daily Diablo Immortal videos. And now it's time that I class change to my next class that I'll be playing for 2 weeks' time, farming essences, bringing on an expert to share more details on the class, and giving you all of the builds for that class. What is that next class going to be? Have a great day, guys.